In today's world, manufacturing is facing a lot of pressure from customers, government, competitors, emerging technology to digitize in the organization. The rapid evolution in this technology landscape is resulting in shrinking product life cycle. In many cases, it's also looking to increase the need for customization than before. But digital technology seems to be underappreciated, especially in the manufacturing and the capital goods space. So we'll be discussing that with our esteemed panelists today, that how essentially one can achieve manufacturing excellence helped by digital in the world of digital era. We have a very special guest with us, our special panel with us, Mr. Atul B. Lal, MD and Vice Chairman at Dixon Technologies is with us, Mr. M.S. Krishnan, CEO, IIT Monash Research Academy, as well as former MD and CEO of Thermax Group, and Mr. Rajesh Devani, Vice President, Hitachi India Limited, is also with us. Could you just just before we start the context, Mr. Rajesh, let me start by asking you that digital has played a very important role in capital goods manufacturing as well as power and distribution space. Can you just first start by telling us that how digital has played an important role, because it's been a very underappreciated digital role which people don't know much about, especially in manufacturing.
Sure. So thanks for that. So essentially, if we have to go down memory lane or history lane as we speak it to understand the sort of impact manufacturing has had on the entire ecosystem and the economy. And manufacturing continues to remain a underappreciated sector of the economy because it's got a global impact overall, right? It has been the one which spawned the Industrial Revolution, and then on, it's kept kind of influencing and impacting the economy in a very wide way. So if you really look at it, the economic multiplier that comes from manufacturing is by and large the largest. The job multiplier also is likewise. So manufacturing is, like you said, very crucial but underappreciated sector of the economy. And what we are witnessing today is very rapid transformation. So if you really look at it, manufacturing is witnessing a sort of a renaissance as we speak. And manufacturing is being transformed from its erstwhile image around things like, you think of the smokestack factories, dimly lit factories. So it's getting fully revisionized, and it's really about the advent of digital that is impacting the whole industry and creating that sort of impact. Now, the impact does not just stay within the four walls of the plants, it goes far beyond. It's impacting the entire manufacturing value chain and the ecosystem around that. And there are use cases around all these spaces. You look at the complete value chain, right from the design phase, where you can have a lot of impact by using digital, even in the design phase of it, right up to the service and the ultimate disposition of products, and even the circular economy concept. So manufacturing is being impacted by digital across its entire value chain in all the facets throughout the space. And when there are use cases are numerous, and one could talk about, maintenance is a high impact area for sure, where the assets can be very heavily leveraged and utilized if we are maintaining them, leveraging digital technologies, and there's a lot of impact to be had. Quality is another broad area where we can improve the quality of our products significantly. The customer service, the customer experience is yet another dimension where you can impact. So if you really look at it, the impacts are broad and wide across the whole value chain, effectively in summary. And digital is just getting started, as we say, and there's a lot more to come.
Right. Atul, can you now take forward, because see, you are a company that has been growing for the last, decade or so, and you've been growing in manufacturing. Now, this is one space, where growth is particularly not common for a lot of players, but you have managed to do it. Firstly, if you could talk about how digitally things have changed in the last decade or so, and secondly, with this China One strategy that is coming in, how digital will help to improve excellence, efficiency, get more orders if you're digitally advanced, how these things essentially work, when you go for a contract manufacturing abroad to any place.
So, Pankaj, at Dixon, we are of a very firm conviction that henceforth electronic goods being sold in India would be manufactured in India. primarily because of various reasons. One foremost reason is that over a period of, and this has been a trend for last 3 4 years, and now which is in an accelerated mode. One, the industry has acquired the skill set of delivering on the quality, productivity, cost efficiency up to a particular level. Second, of course, because of the evolving geopolitical situation globally, which you refer to as China plus one kind of a strategy, which gives an opportunity to the Indian industry. Third, also significant government initiatives through its policy framework. Now, this is the reason that the opportunity for the Indian electronics manufacturing industry is being created. So, opportunity is definitely there. Now, not only for servicing the domestic requirement, but also become a part of the global value chain. Now, when you're talking about meeting the expectations of your global customers, whether for the domestic market or for the global markets, you have to deliver at that level on productivity, on quality, and that's where a path to adoption of digital technology on your manufacturing engineering system is the key. We in Dixon run 14 factories in far off locations. You have to minimize the human intervention, let's say on a smartphone that you are manufacturing or a camera that you are manufacturing, where the production line has to have a go no go situation if the process is not being followed. You need to have a very robust system on traceability. You need to have a very robust system on your supply chains. So, adoption of digital is the key. If you don't do that, then there is very much a chance that there can be accidents in your executions. And your deliverables, if not done the correct way, can completely take this opportunity off the Indian table. So that's extremely important. Manufacturing engineering systems, traceability, digitization, process orientation is the key. And all of us need to embark on it. And we are doing it well. It's not easy, but we're pursuing it, and we're pursuing it very tenaciously.
Right. So that was, of course, the management at Dixon Technology, Mr. Lal, talking about, how they plan or they do digital things so that, across their various factories, things can be better. But we'll talk more about this. But let's get a perspective from Mr. Krishnan as well. He has been handling capital goods. He's been looking at the larger projects for a while now. So when you built Thermax, a project was completely different versus what it is now. Digital has played a very important role. Can you just tell us that how things have changed in the capital goods when you now go ahead for a project bidding? How essentially capital goods or digital artificial intelligence plays a very important role within the entire project.
Whatever said and done, when you set up manufacturing units or organizations in the earlier past, one would look at the ecosystem which is prevailing. And those days, digitization has not penetrated the industrial sector, durable sector, and in any case, heavy engineering, which Thermax is coming in from. So a lot of them had part automation done, improvement in efficiency done. However, if one were to look at it currently, I would set it up as two different areas. One is where a brownfield expansion along with the capacity creation done, where you will improve the existing system with the automation, robotics, and digitization happening. But there will be limitations in that. But however, if one were to look at a greenfield, totally a new one, you can make it more productive with less number of people and highly efficient advanced robotics and even artificial intelligence coming into play with IoT playing a role. So it will be digital manufacturing. So I totally agree that if one were to look at the capital utility and the capital efficiency today, digitization can make a substantial difference in that one, both in terms of the same equipments and the space producing more output of a higher quality, consistent quality. And on top of that, with less number of recurring manpower. So that is the greatest advantage that one would get in today's world with digitization introduced. So if I were to compare with what would have been the earlier past, if one were to do the same thing replicated today, you would certainly do a far superior job in productivity, output quality, and every possible way. And even to talk about the value chain in organization, forget about manufacturing alone. Manufacturing is only one part of the value chain. If you were to look at right from the inquiry stage, analytical stage, you have today digital platforms available, and it is available earlier only for durable level or maybe distributed products, FMCG level. Today, even for heavy engineering, even to read a tender, you can have a tender reading software available. Your offer preparation is highly automated, and then your entire process of negotiating is on an e-platform today. Reverse auction, as even for maybe a $10 million contract, $25 million contract, $100 million contract today, you don't have to go and have a FaceTime given to the customer and negotiate with them. Majority of the larger customers in the world today prefer e-auctions. So e-auction is a digital platform only. Project execution is done using very high levels of digitized platforms. Even commissioning of plants are done using digitized platforms. So in this, not that you totally remove the manpower. There are certain areas you'll be needing highly qualified people, competent people are needed for it. However, the process can be so well automated that the chances of error can be avoided, and of course the speed. What you could do in say maybe a project execution or a specific plan to be constructed in 24 months, you can make it happen today in maybe 12 to 12-month period. Let's say that it's a 50% cycle time reduction of execution of a project. So these are the kind of things that are possible. And if one were to do anything new in today's world, it's a digitized world. You would do it in the modern way only.
Right. So that brings us to our first poll question. And the question is digital an alternative to traditional manufacturing? The answer is either yes or no. Well, let's now take this discussion ahead. We've got the initial comments coming in. Mr. Rajesh, you of course, you're a part of the industry which caters to consumer as well as manufacturing, and there is excessive competition from other manufacturing hubs that are located in and around. How have things changed in the last 1 year? Do you think that digital will help us compete in terms of efficiency? It will help us in error handling. Are all these things very important when you go to bid, or when any company like yours is looking to set up a new manufacturing plant?
Sure. Yeah, so what's really happening is that you have to break the question into two parts. So one is with regards to the greenfield plants which are being set up, but the majority proportion of the assets is brownfield. Now, how do you deal with the brownfield is a more pertinent question in this regard, because greenfield, you've got a clean slate and you can decide how you want to set it up and go about it. But what you need to cater for is how do you eke out the maximum efficiencies from a brownfield setup? And that's where really the question comes into play. So digital, of course, is real. It's beginning to happen. But what you need to do is you need to have the fundamentals in place first. And, while I may be talking about the traditional techniques, I think lean is still pertinent. So you can't really apply digital on a not so lean pig, as they call it, right? So essentially, you have to first of all see that the basic building blocks are in place. And then you have to see how you can eke out more efficiencies by applying digital technologies on top of the lean process improvement initiatives that an organization undertakes. So the brownfield is where really the challenge is, because they have got archaic processes, their equipment is pretty old, they don't have open interfaces, the workforce is old. So that's the major challenge. I think the greenfield sites are quite ripe for adoption of digital, and we are standing it from the ground up. So you kind of leapfrogging all the issues that the brownfield faces. So what we really need to focus on is how do we enable the brownfield, because that still constitutes the majority of the industry at the moment. And how do you really go about is you begin with a core assessment. First of all, you have to understand what your value drivers are, and how you go about ensuring that your digital interventions are not piecemeal, but done in a way that really impacts the entire value chain of manufacturing. So right from the assessment of what your key drivers are with regards to your cycle times or your uptime, utilization, your throughput, your yield, your efficiencies, and reduction of defect rates, customer service. You have to look at it a holistic picture and then see how digital is going to be applied in a comprehensive context to really enable those plans to come up to speed and compete with the best in class.
Right. Right. Mr. Atul, let's just talk about, what Sir just earlier explained, that, brownfield is probably the problem, where, digital adoption, if products are made the way they are, it may just take some time or it may not be possible in a short period of time. So you keep changing products, you get newer products coming in from your clients, which you need to change accordingly. Products life cycle itself is coming down. So how are you coping up with these changes on existing plant? Is that a big challenge? It takes some time or it needs planning?
So, Rajesh ji is absolutely on the dot. Implementing the digitized processes uh, is relatively simpler when you're launching a new project because you don't have legacy issues. And in brownfield, you have to be hugely tenacious, and it's on all the elements of business, whether it's your workforce, your old equipment, process already built into a system. It requires a transformation, so it takes time. Now, we have certain old plants, and we are in the process of implementing the manufacturing engineering systems there, which is hugely digitized. In some of the plants, like smartphones, we have been able to do it relatively faster. But in some of the consumer durable plants, which is 10 years old or 15 years old, we're facing challenges. Yeah, so that is definitely an issue. But I think persistence is required, tenacity is required. And now I'm seeing lately that our teams are falling in line because when they see the efficiency improvements in the newly set up plants, they see that how the human interaction is getting minimized and the quality outgo and the productivity levels are having a quantum improvement. There is a change of approach, but there is a difference in the brownfield and the greenfield, undoubtedly.
Right. Unikrishnan sir, for 10 years we've been talking about pick up in capacity, pick up in demand, private investments is not picking up. How do you see the current environment? Rates are as low as they could be globally. India, of course, is offering PLI schemes, various other, we want to attract FDI, FCI into the country. And plus, existing players have also not been putting in capacity. Do you think this is the time when capacity pickup will happen? A company like Ultratech recently, after years, announced a capex plan expansion. Some of the other big ones have also, in the steel space, announced some expansion coming in. So, do you think that this could be a manufacturing era for India, or this could be a decade where India also becomes a manufacturing hub for the global markets?
It is my considered opinion that India will certainly be playing a substantial role in the future and as far as manufacturing is concerned. I do not want to use a cliche word that will be the manufacturing hubs. World will have multiple hubs. China is already a hub. There could be a couple of more of them happening. We can't be expecting that everything is going to be done from India. But what we need to recognize as a factor is even before the pandemic happening, COVID happening, the economy was on a downturn, but those were temporary in nature. So for the catch up to be happening, the consumption has to pick up and consumption was coming down. So post pandemic or once the vaccines are in place and the fear psychosis go away, people start consuming properly, then the capacity utilization of the existing manufacturing units in the country, whether it's in FMCG, durable, light engineering, automobile or heavy engineering, all of them will start picking up. And in my understanding, only when you reach a 75-80% of the existing capacity utilization, where people will start thinking about having new capacities created. So this phenomena is going to be happening post the pandemic control, I would say, post pandemic control, where the enthusiasm of investment will start prevailing. And I'm sure it is going to be happening from 22, 23 onwards. It's going to be happening, number one. Second, answering the question related to India's role in manufacturing, you should recognize India will possibly have the largest population of the world, if not so, almost equivalent or slightly lower than China for the next maybe a decade to 2 decades. That's where our population is expected to be peaking, 2040, 2045 equivalent of that. Will possibly be the largest population of the world. So the domestic market is so huge, and the income and purchasing power and capacity of Indian population is going up. As it goes up, there is such a huge domestic market available. There is no choice for people but to bring in FDI and take care of the market and market's consumption. And remember, India as a market is almost 65% consuming economy. We are not an export oriented economy. So once you start building in new capacity with new technologies, it could also be, and it will also be a hub for exporting out of the country. Because in any case, there's a critical mass available. We are not a market as small as maybe Singapore or a Hong Kong or many European countries where the population is equivalent to one city of India. So the local market being so small, you can't keep very large capacities in such kind of countries. Whereas India is such a huge market and going to be evolving into a much larger market, that the capacities are going to be of economic scale, which will be able to produce with the digitization coming in of a high quality, high technology oriented output in larger numbers, which means one of the lowest prices in the world, which China had as an advantage earlier. So India emerging as a major manufacturing center for the world for virtually every other item in going forward is going to be a practical thing. So the dream of India wanting to have the manufacturing component of the economy going up from the current maybe 18% all the way to maybe a 30, 40. China is almost 40. So we may not reach 40, but I would say upwards to a 30 to 35% of the total GDP coming from manufacturing. And that too with the digitization added on of a world-class quality and faster output and able to compete with everybody in the world is going to be a reality and an imminent reality. Give or take a couple of years down the line, it is going to be initiating, and that will be a continuous path because this kind of a thing, capacity creation, then perfection of that one, reaching to the market, connecting with the market, all put together is a story of maybe a decade. So I would say India is going to see that decade plus of continued investment in the manufacturing.
Right. So that brings us to our second poll question for all the viewers. Is India capable of developing tech solutions domestically? The answer is either yes or a no. Yeah. Let's take our discussion ahead. Uh, Mr. Atul, if you could just throw highlight on how essentially technology has played an important role in reducing the product life cycle. And because of that, a lot of changes, even in manufacturing, is required. And that is one of the key markets that you cater to.
And so, undoubtedly, the pace of innovation in the space that we operate, that is consumer facing electronics, uh, has really fastened. Uh, with that innovation, both on the hardware side and the software side, there are new solutions being churning out. Now, this is right from the microprocessor end, right from the polymer side, designing side, aesthetic side, look and feel side. Now, when that kind of thing happens, the life cycle of product definitely shortens. Now, uh, when the life cycle shortens, you have to align your manufacturing systems as per that. However, in Dixon's case, please appreciate that we are an outsourcing company. And when you are an outsourcing company and you are servicing very large global brands, the likes of Philips and Samsungs and Xiaomi's and Panasonics, they understand your business very well. So you do well only when your capital allocations are more prudent, they're fungible, they're frugal, your operating cycles are frugal. So in our case, we keep our capital allocations extremely low. We derive an asset turnover ratio of 12 and we're going to take it up to 20. So the way you set up your manufacturing lines, it has to be hugely fungible. 80% of my gross block is aligned this way that on the same lines I can run a mobile phone or a camera or a medical electronics equipment or a set-top box or a television or a bulb. Now, this is a situation which every individual company, as per its business situation, has to address. So, product life cycles, yes, but would it require a whole new cycle of investments to align yourself with it? That you have to be very prudent about. So in our case, we are extremely frugal and we are able to do it fairly well. And we'll keep on pushing up the bar for us to increase our asset turnover ratios.
Right. Rajesh, Hitachi does provide technology solutions for manufacturing by leveraging artificial intelligence, machine learning, advanced data management. How will that help in reshaping or the manufacturing industry?
Sure. So what we call that is something called industrial AI. And we believe that's got a real transformative power to change the entire world of manufacturing. And I'll take examples from various life cycle stages. Back to your question on the life cycle part. I mean, if you really look at it at the early design stage, right, engineering and design stage, how could AI help you? So we've been working with manufacturers in terms of helping them do generative design, which really expedites your entire time for innovation, time to innovation cycles, right? So we do a lot of work in the AI space in that regard. Then we do other stuff around the whole core manufacturing operations, and that's premised on a few of things like maintenance. And maintenance itself is a huge topic on its own accord because it's got impacts across the whole production value chain. So what we are doing is we kind of split the problem into three buckets. So clearly you've got the descriptive analytics, which is around, okay, what's happening from a maintenance standpoint, what my KPIs are, what my metrics are. But really the value lies either in terms of, am I able to predict in a timely way as to what the health of my assets is and how they are going to behave, and hence plan my maintenance schedules in the most optimal manner to maximize my throughput and uptime while ensuring that I don't have any catastrophic failures without a forewarning, right? So that's another area of impact. Now you really go on to that continuum from a predictive onto a prescriptive paradigm, and that's something which is truly exciting, and we've been working on. So we've been working on, for example, with large fleet manufacturers, and in terms of how we help them leverage their own data, which is things like their maintenance logs, their telemetry data, and other things, and really provide models which tell them how do you really, when you're getting certain fault codes or errors, for example, what's really the root cause and what should be your solutions? How do you really diagnose that issue leveraging AI? So what you really do is, one is you do a first time right in a better way, and then the second part is that you really optimize the time for doing maintenance, because you save a lot of time in terms of diagnosing the issue by leveraging AI in that regard. So that's got a huge use case. There are a couple of other use cases around quality, for example, right? So if I'm able to impact quality in line rather than at the end of the line or when my goods go to the customers and then I find quality defects, I think that's a huge saving. So by some estimates, if I'm able to capture the defect in line when I'm manufacturing and really stop the process, rectify the issue, I save 100 times. I mean, if it goes to the customer, then the impact is about 100 times of that. So you look at the real efficiencies you can derive in that process. So AI is coming to the rescue even in that regard. And it's basically premised on one is the computer vision aspect, where I'm able to look at what's really going through my manufacturing process by leveraging computer vision. The second is also in terms of having a complete holistic view of my process parameters, my input parameters, and then being able to predict what my product quality is going to be like. So these are a few use cases that we have along the whole spectrum. I mean, then it's into field service and so on and so forth. So it's a complete spectrum of things which can be impacted by leveraging AI and machine learning in this regard.
Right. So, Krishna, let's take this point ahead. So AI gives you data. AI gives you a lot of data. So over the next 5 years, any company implementing it will have a lot of data. What would that mean for quality, error management, things going ahead, setting up processes? Is that something which can clearly revolutionize what's happening in the manufacturing sector versus what it used to be earlier? I mean, setting new benchmarks which people did not expect earlier.
Pankaj, it's a very interesting shift that is happening in our market and in our country specifically. What we have done in the earlier past, or the way we operated industries in various sectors, is a conventional mechanism, adoption of what is happening in the developed world, and then we had manpower available. So the cost arbitrage available to us India. So more manpower, more people doing, and utilizing the cheaper manpower, both in manufacturing process and in the various other supply chain and value chain management processes, the way we went about it. But the advent of artificial intelligence, what is the difference that is happening to the world? I would say it's a combination of factors. Starting on with the way the sensor technology has developed to such a level where I do remember when I started maybe 30 and odd years back into the industry, a classical sensor that is used for measuring, say maybe a carbon dioxide or a pollutant in is needed that is needed to control the entire power plant used to be costing say maybe 10 to 15 lakh rupees of those days. Today the same thing is available at few dollars. And I'm not talking about some cheap country make. It's a developed country make. Either a sensor coming from Germany or maybe Japan is a few dollars only. And it's 1,000 times more powerful than what it used to be existing. So whatever were the data that is physically observed today, you can afford to be putting as many sensors as possible, and then it gives in an online data like an MRI of the operations of any equipment or a factory or any processes of the kind. And this is a huge quantum of data coming in. And that is where you got a big data analytic capability today. And once the data is analyzed, like the way human brain is deciding about what should be the corrective action to be done is done by artificial intelligence today. That is the role AI is going to be playing, which many people haven't understood what can be done. So whatever was done by a human being, either as a manufacturing unit worker, supervisor, manager, a general manager, all this can be converted into an artificial intelligence oriented control going in. And that goes into from the artificial intelligence control data, this one signal, it goes into advanced robotics. So it is the self-learning, that is where the machine learning comes into. So a combination of artificial intelligence and the machine learning and the control schematics put together is a change that is going to be happening. Even for, say, making a proposal for a customer tomorrow for a complicated machinery, today if you are able to standardize the components at various parts, there can be a proposal making robo, which is today done by a very highly qualified engineer. It will be done by a robot tomorrow. And please remember that engineer could have committed a mistake and he may repeat the mistake later. But over here, with the machine learning available, the first mistake that is committed by that particular robo, once corrected, is a machine learning. It will correct it, self-correct it. Not only that, similar kind of machines anywhere in the world operating, all of them will autocorrect when one is getting corrected. So this is a kind of wider global ramification of artificial intelligence and machine learning going to already taking place. And this is going to be adding on with the IIoT. This is a deadly combination. AI, machine learning, and IIoT. With this, whatever is today done by a set of people who have a chain of command, all this can be done using a digitized digital platform. And one may wonder, is it going to be removing human beings from the entire activity? No, no, I don't unduly worry about it. Even to design this kind of algorithms, logic, and the digital platform, you'll be needing people of a very high skill. So what we need to look at it over here is that hand over the repetitive process to digital platforms, digitization, using artificial intelligence, advanced robotics, control the process. But you need to make the robots, you need to maintain them, so you need very highly qualified manpower in the future. So upskilling of these people will be a necessity. You don't have to throw them out. The same people, they have already the mechanical exposure, electrical exposure. You are elevating them to digital exposure and capability building. With that, the same set of people with elevated upskilling done, they will be able to manage the processes better. So what would happen with the same facility, with the digitization done, you will be able to give a much higher output from the same plant, and that will be consistent, extremely high quality, and there will be fungibility available, because same line can produce different kinds of products also, because there you can design the lines in such a way that the same thing, so line which is producing today a refrigerator can tomorrow produce maybe a air conditioner, can tomorrow make even a microwave oven, or maybe the same thing which makes an IC chip can make a mobile phone component. So those are the kind of fungibility and flexibility this will also give it you, algorithm control, based control. And all of them are going to be connected globally. So this is something which I'm so confident to say that during the lockdown period, a company like Thermax is able to commission boilers remotely, which otherwise you need an engineer to go there. We spend weeks together over there. But once you embed the system in the equipment while you're manufacturing itself, you can remotely manage it. You can remotely commission the equipment. You can update the software when you're improving the performance parameters. So this is I mean, digitization is going to be changing the way the world is working. And added to this is the 5G is going to be coming in. So the data transfer time taken, or maybe the online abilities, and it is going to be all pervasive. So whatever we were looking forward to in the world related to automating processes and automating lives also, it's not only the manufacturing area. Even our houses are going to be more automated than what it is today. And you have remote access to a locked home. And sitting in the office, you can switch on your AC, and you can decide, and you can get all the data about whatever is done in your absence at home. Many activities that you need to be going back home to switch on your washing machine can be done from your office also, provided you loaded it already in the morning, and you can do it, your drying of the cloth. Maybe I'm sure that newer inventions which are going to happen in the world to make the life much easier for all of us are going to come from these inventions, which are the digital platforms. So it is going, and I'm very confident it is going to, not that I'm making a story out of it. It is exactly already started happening in various parts of the world. It's only a matter of adoption of that by human beings and organizations and manufacturing. A major shift, and possibly a revolutionary shift, which is expected to happen with digitization percolating across industries and across the societies. The major shift that is going to be visible is, we looked at human beings, especially the blue collar, are a set of people who have got hands available and energy and power available, and that energy power of the body was what we needed for our India process of manufacturing. But in the changed world, that will be taken over by machines. The physical efforts will be taken over by the machines. A repetitive ability of the human being to do the same thing, in any case, there's a skill limit beyond which you can't do faster. So that portion also will get robotized. But then what will the human being do? The creative ability can't be coming in from a computer, from the digital platform. So you will start valuing a blue collar for its intellectual capability, which the entire world missed. In any case, our country missed. Even today, we look at the how much does a labor cost prevail in Europe, developed world? It is maybe $40 per hour. Oh, if I can do it at $4 in India per hour by underpaying the labor, then that means, I mean, there is a cost arbitrage. On that arbitrage, you will be working. That is going to be disappearing in the world. And it is going to be coming to a realm where everybody's intellectual capital is what is going to be utilized. And then there are questions asked about, will there be work available? See, one prediction that I want to make is, progressively as India also progresses and we come into the global mainstream and in a digitized world, there is no guarantee that you may have to make a worker work for 8 hours or human being work for 8 hours. It could be likely that you get paid the same salary or better salary for working for less number of hours, because you're not physically putting in your efforts, you are intellectually putting in. So it could be likely that the work hours will come down, life will improve for human beings. That's why it is going to be changing. And digitization is going to bring that change to the world. And that welcome change is what I am looking forward to in the world. Nothing negative of job losses, more of job creations. Because to think about modernity, digitized platform for everything, you need people, more number of people to do that way. And to maintain all of them, you need highly skilled people. So that is the future of the world, future of work.
Right, sir. Really short on time, otherwise would have liked to continue the discussion, but that brings us to our third and the final poll question. And the question is, will digital technology or digital technology will not produce the best results unless workforce is reskilled? The answer is yes or no. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking our time for us. Mr. Atul, always good to chat with you. Mr. Umi Krishnan, thank you so much for putting insights on various projects and how digital can help. And Mr. Rajesh, for telling us about how artificial intelligence is important and is gaining importance even in the manufacturing sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.